Hey guys, welcome to the Creative Arena. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create this amazing page divider animation that gives you that page transition illusion from one background to another. So at the end of this tutorial, we're going to create something that looks like this. So when you scroll, you can see the animation. This is our divider. You can see the animation. You come down, you still have the same animation. You scroll up, you can see that illusion of moving from one background color to another background transition effect. So we're going to achieve this without any line of CSS code or additional plugin. So without further delay, let's dive in and get started. So in our Elementor editing screen, I've already taken the time to create this demo portfolio website. This is where we're going to add our animation to it. Okay, so first thing we're going to do here is we're just going to come over here and then we're going to add our animation between these three containers here. Between the first and the second container, we're going to add our first animation, and then between the second container and the third container, that's where we're going to add our second animation. So in order for us to understand which container I'm actually referring to, I'm going to rename each of these containers here. Okay, so for this first container, I'm going to call it our hero, and then for this container here, I'm going to call it services, and then for this container here, I'm going to call it the contact. Okay, great. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to come over here to the services. Now, right above the services, there is where we're going to add our container. So we're going to come here, select the flexible container, and select this structure here. Now, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to come over here to the content width. We're going to set it to full width, and then we're going to go to the style option. And for the style option, we're going to set the background color to the same background color as that of the service container. So we'll come over to the service container, go to the style, and then we copy the background color here, and then we'll return back to this container here and set the background type to classic, and then add the background color here. Okay, now for this container here, we're going to call it our animation. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do, we'll go to the advanced settings. Now for the advanced settings, we're going to unlink the padding and then unlink the margin as well. So we'll make sure that there is no gap between. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do, we'll go to the widget area and we're going to search for the divider widget. Now this widget, I'm going to drag it and drop it here. Now for this widget here, under the content, we're going to come over to the style. We're going to set it at solid. There are other options here which you can choose for depending on which will work well for you. But for the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to set it at solid. And then for the width, we'll leave it at 100%. Then we'll go over to the style option. Now for the style option, the color of the divider is dependent on the color of the container above the animation. That is for the top animation. Okay, so now for our hero, the background color for our hero is black, so we're going to set this color here to black, which is already in black. We'll leave it the way it is. Now for the width, we're going to increase the width to 2, and for the gap, we're going to set the gap to 2 as well. So now the next thing we're going to do now is we're going to duplicate this divider multiple times. Okay, now here is the trick. When we duplicate the divider above is the divider we're going to change. Take for instance, we duplicate this. Now this is the new divider we've added, but we're going to come over to the top divider here and we're going to increase it by 2. Every divider we add, we're going to increase it by 2, so this becomes 4. Okay, and then we'll come over here and duplicate this divider that its width value is 4. We're going to duplicate it again, and then we'll go above it. This is the new this divider here. We're going to come over here and increase the value by 2, which becomes 6. And we're going to do the same again, duplicate it, then go to the one above, because this one above and this one here have the same value. So this is the one we're going to work with, the one above, increase it by 2, and then we'll now have 8 pixels here. We're going to come over here, duplicate this again, then we're going to come over here to the one above, and then we're going to increase it by 2, making this value here 10 pixel, and then we're going to come over here again and duplicate it, the one above, we're going to come here, increase it by 2, making this 12, and finally we're going to duplicate it again, then the one above it, we're going to increase the value by 2, making this one here 14. Okay, so that is pretty much it. Now this is what we'll have here. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to add a negative margin to each of the dividers so that the gaps here are even and equal and looks more nicer and closer to each other. So to do so, what we're going to do here for this first divider here, that has the value of the width value of 14. We're going to go to the advanced settings. Now under the margin, we're going to unlink this. Now for the margin to the top, we're going to set the margin to the top to -1. Okay, now for the next divider here, we're going to go to the advanced settings, and then we're going to set the margin to the top to be -22. Okay, -22. So now the next divider, following this divider, we're going to increase it by 2, just like we did for the width. Okay, so now the next divider here, we're going to go to the advanced settings, and then we're going to unlink this. For the margin to the top, we're going to set it to -24. Now for the next divider, we're going to do the same. To the margin to the top, we're going to set it to -26. Okay, so I'm just going to do this real quick, and then we'll continue so that this video doesn't get very long. Okay, so for the last divider, the value is -32. So this is what we finally have. Our design is coming into shape. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to come over here and let's add our animation to this divider, because as you can see now, when we scroll, nothing really happens. Okay, so now let's come over here and let's do that real quick. So what we're going to do here for this divider here, this first divider here, we're going to, still on the advanced settings, we're going to come over to the motion effect, and then we're going to set the scrolling effect, and we're going to set it the vertical scroll. And for the direction, we're going to leave it at up. For the speed, we're going to set the speed value to 6, and then for the viewport, we're going to set the viewport to the bottom to 50, and then to the top, we're going to set it to 70. Okay, so we're going to do this for all the divider, the same settings for all the divider. I'm finding it difficult to drag this to 50. Okay, 50 to the bottom, and then for the top, 70. So we're going to do this for all the remaining dividers. So in order to avoid making this video very long, I'm going to pause it, and then I'm going to apply the same effect to all the dividers above. So I'm going to do it real quick. Okay, so I've successfully added the scrolling effect animation to all the divider here. The same value, as you can see, this is the final divider here, has the same value, 6, and then viewport to the bottom 50% and to the top 70%. And mind you, you might be, in case you're tempted to come over here, since there are many dividers, and then you want to copy and then you paste style to each of the dividers. Do not do that, because if you do that, you're going to copy the same style for all the dividers, which includes the width, size, and then the margin, the margin to the top as well. So do not do that. Just do them one by one. Okay, so now let's see what we have here. So now when we'll come over here, when we scroll, we can see our animation is already coming into place. Okay, so now we're just going to do some minor tweaking here to finalize this animation. So what we're going to do here is going to come over here. Now for this container here, we're going to add an animation to this container as well, a scrolling effect to this container as well. So we're going to come over here to the motion effect, toggle this on, and then for the vertical scroll, we're going to come here, and then direction to the top. For the speed, we're going to set the speed to 2, and for the viewport, we're going to set, for the bottom, we're going to set it to 50, and then for the top, we're going to set it to 100%. So this is what we now have. So when we scroll, we can see that smooth transition. Now the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to come over here to this container, the service container here, and we're going to go to the advanced settings. For the top, we're going to reduce the value to 30%. Okay, now let's see our effect. Let's see what we have here now. Okay, now this looks better. Now we now have the illusion that the service container grows as we scroll. Okay, it looks like it's growing as we scroll, but there is a problem now. You see, when you scroll, you can see that our divider is showing somewhere here, and this doesn't look nice. So to fix it, we're going to come over here, and then we'll go to our animation first. We're going to come over to the advanced settings. For the Z index, we're going to give our animation the Z index of 5. Animation container, the Z index of 5. And then for the hero container, we're going to come over here and then go to the advanced settings, and then give the Z index value of 10, which is above the animation container. Okay, so now we'll come over here and we scroll down. We can see how our smooth scrolling effect, okay, which ushers in our new container. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add this animation to the bottom as well here. So we have that smooth animation on our design. Okay. So to do so, what we're going to do here is we're simply just going to come over here to this animation here, and we're going to duplicate it. And then we're going to drag this one here and bring it to the right below the services. So for this one here, this animation here, we can just call this bottom animation. And then we're going to call this one here top animation. Great. Okay, so now for this bottom animation, what we're going to do here is it's really simple. First thing we're going to do is we're going to change the colors of each of the divider. Now, the color of the divider will now be the color of the container, the service container, which is this container here. And then the background color of our container will be the same container, the same color as that of the contact container. So let's do that. Okay, so now for this contact container here, let's go to the style option and copy the color. Okay, and then let's come over here to our button animation. And then let's go to the style option, and then let's change the background color. Let's change the background color to this color here. Okay, now that we've done that, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to change each of the divider color. Come to the style option for the color. We're going to change it to this, the same color as that of the background color for the services. Okay, so I'm just going to do this real quick. All right, so I have successfully changed the color for each of the dividers and that of the background. So we can check our effect now to see if there is any other thing for us to do. Okay, so we're going to come over here. Now we scroll down. This is what we're going to get. As you can see. Now scroll. This is it. Same effects working perfect well here. So we can see our effect looking really, really nice. So we're just going to come over to this container here, and then we're going to reduce the contact host container. Let's come over to the contact host container, and then let's go to the advanced settings, and let's reduce the padding to the top to 30 pixels, just like we did for the service container. And then let's come over here and let's see our effect. All right, so this is very simple to do. As you can see, you can add this animation to your project and then try to make things look wonderful and creative. Now, as you can see, we're able to achieve this without the use of any line of CSS code. Okay, so you can still come over here, still on the divider. You can still come to the content area and change the divider style. There are multiple styles here. You can leave the settings the way it is and then try to apply either one of these styles here and see which works well for you and which can give you a wonderful animation effect on your website. So try to be creative because this is a creative arena. Okay, so all right, so we've come to the end of this tutorial. I hope you've learned something new from this tutorial. If you've done that, please remember to give this video a thumbs up, and if you're new to our channel, remember to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you get notified first when next I drop a new video. And feel free to drop your comments wherever you're confused or have a question, and I'll do well to attend to as much as I can. But until then, see you on our next video. Bye-bye.